Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel, and with your host El Young, and we are here with the brilliant Jeff Dbury. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey Al, how you doing?
Yeah, not too
It's finally,
bad.
like I
Can't
said before, it's
complain.
finally good to see you face to face.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's. I've got a big cheesy grin now, like actually talking to you, actually face to face and everything. So
Yeah,
it's a long time coming. It's been
yeah,
what we've been knowing each other for coming up to about 5 years now.
about 5 years, Al. Yeah, about 5 years. You're one of the original. You're one of the original
Yeah,
casserolers. You're one of the
yeah,
originals. Yeah.
yeah. So how's it been going? How's you? How you been doing?
Oh, I've been all right, man. With the COVID thing and stuff, and that. Yeah, we were all locked in, locked down for a long time and stuff, and but I'm really kind of a homebody myself anyway. I'm getting older. Back when I was younger, I used to like to go out and party and all that stuff, man. But I'm getting too old for that shit, man. And me and Lizzie, we live for just the two of us, and we don't have any kids or nothing like that. It's just the two of us. And that's one reason. That's one reason why we're able to do the show and stuff. If we had kids and stuff, we wouldn't be able to do it. But
Yeah,
it's just the two of us, and been all right, man. It's been going pretty good.
yeah,
So I just
yeah,
been working on art projects and stuff like that. And that's about it.
yeah, yeah. It's like I think that's a lot. I think with this lockdown with Corona and COVID and everything, I think everybody's been pretty much in the same boat really,
Yeah,
where they just like they just want to like getting well, I think they've got used to like actually being like staying at home and stuff like that and not going out. And but there are some people who can't wait to get out and actually do something.
yeah.
So right, yes, let's get into some the questions.
Okay.
Right, as a kid, what were you listening to?
When I was a kid, all right. It's gonna sound weird and kind of funny, but okay. When I was a kid, I mean, we're talking about before I was a teenager and stuff. I used to listen to stuff like the Jackson Five, the Osmond Brothers, and stuff like that. Seriously, I used to have this little record player, and I'd sit there in my room and I'd listen to my I don't know, the Osmonds and old. And my mom also, she had all these old 45s. Remember the old 45s?
Yeah,
And all these old like 50s music and Bobby Darin and Bill Haley and the Comets and stuff like that. And that's the kind of stuff that I was like listening to when I was a kid, before I even learned to play any instruments or anything. Um, what really got me into like rock music is was back in I was about 12 years old, and it was back in like 1976, and it was around Halloween. It was in October of '76, and there was a TV show. It was a special. I don't know if you remember who Paul Lynde was, the comedian, and he had a TV show. It was Paul Lynde's Halloween special, and Kiss was on there. And it was so this is long, and I had heard of them before, and I like seen pictures, but I just thought they were really weird. I didn't really know what to think of it. And when I seen them perform on that show, I mean, that was really what I mean. It was after that point is when I really started getting into rock music. And for a long time I was just really into Kiss big time. And I listened to them. I had all their albums. And I seen them back in '78, and that was a band that kind of really got me into rock music. As I went on, I started getting into other stuff too, like Rush and God, just Judas Priest, and Ozzy, and Black Sabbath. Um, just I don't know, just whatever sounded good to me. And it wasn't really anything particular. I just liked hard rock. Really liked hard rock music, like hard rock, hard driving stuff like that, like Aerosmith and stuff like that. That's what that's kind of what I was into when I was a kid. That's what got me into playing into playing playing the drums and playing music.
Yeah. So, who who was like the main instrumental person in your life who got you into music? Was it a family member or somebody else?
I'd probably have to say my father. My father he was a well, he's retired now, and he lives in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and he's a guitar player, and he also sang, but he played country music and like old '50s covers and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, he used to come down to Chicago, where I lived with my mom and stuff, and I'd go up to Wisconsin with him, and I would go and watch his band. They were called the Johnny Christian Group, and they'd play at different bars and little like festivals and stuff like that, and I'd watch him play, and I always watched Johnny, the drummer. Johnny was the drummer. He's passed away. So was the bass player. Both of them passed away. They were a three-piece band, and I just loved it, man. I just loved the live music, and and that was really, I'd have to say that my dad, was probably more of a musical influence on me, than any big like rock stars or anything like that. Um, everyone on my father's side of the family they're all musicians. I have cousins that I've never met and stuff, but they all play instruments, and so I kind of come from a musical background, but if there was one person, that I would have to say, it would be my father. I mean, he was really good. I mean, really really good. He had this hollow body Gretsch guitar. It was like a reddish color guitar, and it was just such a beautiful guitar, and and I just and I would watch them, and that's, so yeah, it would be my dad. He was really good guitar player and singer, and that's what really got me into wanting to, just it's kind of what, opened the door, so to speak, to me wanting to, play in a band and play music, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Look, in the chat where we have Helen, Paul,
Hey, Helen.
Teresa, and Teresa.
Hey,
So
Teresa.
welcome guys, welcome. Yeah, it's so good to see you guys. Yeah, so it must. So obviously, your dad really like inspired you to become a musician, then, to
Yep.
like obviously.
Mostly, yeah.
So yeah. So when you were like basically about what 15, 16 about, yeah, was it how can I put this? Who got you to become who bought you the first instrument? I think you said you were a drummer
Yeah.
when you first
Yeah,
started out.
I always liked the drums. That was what I was always interested in, was the drums. Um, that would again be my dad. Like I said, I used to go up to Wisconsin, and I told him I wanted to learn how to play the drums, and he was all for it. And we went into this little music store in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they had this set of Ludwig drums sitting there. It was just a nice five piece set of Ludwig drums, and they were like gray and black, with the gray and black, like that swirl kind of color type thing. And he bought them. He bought them for me. Excuse me. And he kind of said that he said he was getting back at my mom. I don't know why, but he was he we came back from Wisconsin that day with my drums loaded in his car, and put him upstairs in the bedroom, in my bedroom and stuff, and I put them together and stuff, and I started playing. I started, I didn't really take any lessons. I would just play along with the records and stuff like that. and I would just watch other drummers as to how they would do stuff, and I would just pick it up, and I would just go in my room, and I just lock myself in there for hours and hours. Other kids were outside playing, sports and stuff. I did that stuff too, but I mean, mostly I just wanted to play my drums, and I did that for a while, and it was I don't know, maybe about a year later. I don't know. I could make because that's about I was about 16, and then I got together. I knew some other kids, some other guys, that also played, and we got together and we started jamming together, and it kind of just went from there, and the first band, like real band I ever played with, was we did original music. We did some covers, but I wanted to play original music. I wasn't really interested in playing cover songs. I wanted to play my own songs, or write songs together as a band, and that's what we did. And that band was called Challenger, and I actually have pictures of us on my Facebook page. And that was and we used to, we rehearse. We would rehearse wherever we could find a place to rehearse. Sometimes we rehearse at my house or at our we had like a lot of different people that came and gone, came and went from that band. But we were together for a while. We had won a battle of the bands in Bolingbrook, Illinois. We joined this battle of the bands. We won that, and we were actually pretty good. It was actually we were a good band, and that's really what started my journey into playing music and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to ask you about what bands were you in? Was there any other bands that you were like you transitioned from that first band to another band, or were you just
Yeah,
like consistent with the first band?
I played with a lot of different bands. As time went on, as a drummer, after that band, there was I don't re- me and one of the guys, Mario Perez. He played bass and he sang in Challenger. But our guitar player Gordon, he also sang, and he did a lot, like Gordon. He's also been was also a big influence on me. He ended up majoring in music at Northern Illinois University, and he was really good. He was a real good piano player, so he could read music, and he wrote most of our songs. And but he went away to college, and so that's kind of what broke that band up. When he went off to
Yeah,
college, and me and Mario, we kind of dabbled with jamming together and had different people. Then there was another band that things just started. I don't know. I would just find different people to play with. And some of them were bands, and some of them were uh, you know we'd end up getting gigs. The only the band that I can think of next, there was, God, there's a lot of people too, a lot of different people. There was a Cold Steel. Cold Steel was a band that Mario and I had started, and we did some covers, and we did some original songs, played at some bars in Chicago and stuff. And there's just it was really there was really not any kind of where I could say there was any kind of um, like series of events that led to anything. You know what I mean? I just like
yeah,
playing music. I just like playing the drums. I didn't really care where we played. I didn't care. I just wanted to play. And I just loved
yeah,
playing. It was all I loved. I loved music. I liked, and there's really original music that I like more than anything. You know, and
yeah,
that. I mean, I when I think about it, sometimes my mind goes one way and it goes the other, because there's just so much stuff. Um, and that's a it was yeah, Challenger, and then I'd say the next band was probably Cold Steel, and that band was together for a while, and until I um so then there was Astaroth. There was a band called Astaroth that I played with. There were some other guys that I knew from around the area that I lived in, and they were kind of Astaroth was kind of like they weren't really they were kind of like a combination of Queensryche, Metallica, and Slayer. and um, uh, and then there was Scott Wolford was the guitar player. This guy Scott Wolford. Then there was this guy Scott Scott Kitzman played bass. He was a phenomenal bass player. And all these guys, they were all good musicians. I mean, top notch, kick ass musicians. And I would just like jump from one thing from one project to another is what I really did, you know, until I decided um, I was going to go to California. Actually, I was going to go there with another guy that I played with, Dave Featherly. We played in a band called Shrapnel, and he moved out to California, and he wanted me to come out there, and so I did that. When I, it's a long story, I went out
Yeah.
to California. It was around. I actually left for California on January 31st. I mean December 31st, 1986. Going into 1987, and I went out there originally with my mom and a guy that she was going with. This boyfriend of hers that she was going with, and my friend. Long story short, my friend Dave was out there. We got together and hung out in LA for a little while, and he decided to go back to Chicago and didn't tell me or nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But I ended up hooking up with some guys out there, and we played together for 3 years. And there's a lot. The LA scene was much different than Chicago. It's like there were all these bands. There's thousands of them, and they're all going to be the next big thing. Attitudes and you had to pay to play in clubs. Like for instance, playing at Gazari's. You they would you would go through this thing. This it was called a creative images or something like that, and they gave you tickets, and you had to go and you had to pound the pavement trying to sell these tickets for the show, and whatever you didn't sell, you would have to come up with the difference, or you didn't get to play. That's where the pay to play came in. And I mean, I don't know how it is today. So maybe it's different, but that's how it was back in the 80s. You'd walk down Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset Boulevard, and just about everybody you passed was either, was a wannabe rock star or something. That's all that was, that's all I see out there, and it was a lot of fun. That even, with all that, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Um, and there's other things that, I started getting into that wasn't very good. And they led to a lot of really bad things in my life, that nearly killed me too. Um, but yeah, I seen a lot. I really, when I went to LA, where I lived in California, I was there from 1987 and played with the band we were called Backstreet Rocker. And we had all original songs. We had a sound that was like unlike any other band I'd ever played with. We didn't sound like an 80s hair band or anything like that. We just our guitar player, for instance, Billy, he was really into like he loved Frank Marino. He was into Joe Perry. He wasn't into the like Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads stuff. He was into just these Jeff Beck, loved Jeff Beck, and all those different guitar players that he loved was all made up his style of playing. You know, and the thing about the three of us, we were all out in California, but none of us were from California. All three of us were from the Midwest. Wayne, our singer and bass player, he was from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I was from Chicago. Billy, our guitar, he was originally from Aurora, Illinois, which was really where I lived in Illinois, only just not really that far. And we all, they were living out there. They've been out there a lot longer than, and I just, met them. I don't even remember how I met them. I just did. I worked in this gas station and for a while, and I met a lot of people there. Um, yeah, I seen a lot of reality, of what the music business and music industry, what it was and what it is, and it's the way it started turning, to where I just love music. I didn't really care about all the image and stuff, and neither did they. We weren't into any of that stuff. We just wanted to play good music. We were good, we were a good band, and we didn't want to we went into the, the big hair and all that stuff. I did get into that stuff for a while, but I kind of grew out of it. I kind of grew out of that stuff. But there is some. I'm not going to get into everything, but there was some, I situations that just led me, after 3 years of playing with them, that things were, there's stuff and things were not working out for me out there, and I was broke, and okay, that's how it was, man. There's no, in this kind of business, man. You're doing it because you love music.
Yeah.
If you're in the business because you think you're going to become a big millionaire, or you want to make money, or you want to make a living doing it, to playing music, it's really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
really, to make a living playing music, you got to play like cover songs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Playing bands like that, stuff, kind of stuff I was doing. There was no money in it. Yeah, you make a little bit here, maybe a little bit there. You know, but it wasn't. It was just about the music. Now, I'm just rambling on. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Al. What's your next
yeah,
question?
that's all right. It's very. This is all interesting. This, it's how like what your experiences were in the music industry back in the 80s and 90s. This is
Hmm.
all interesting. So yeah, so um, when you like you basically left California and you were in like a few other bands and stuff like that. You decided to go solo and start like a Dbury.
My own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that came about?
Well, what happened was, okay. I left California. I spent 3 days on a Greyhound bus going from San Bernardino, California, back to Joliet, Illinois. Oh God, that was a bus ride from hell. And I just went back and went and stay with my family, and got a job, started working. I there was some other I got some other bands that I started. I continued to play. I bought another drum set because I left everything in California. All I took was, I had a nice set of Rogers drums and stuff out there, and I left it all out there. Just took some of my clothes with me and I left. And because it wasn't it just it's hard, man. It's really hard, especially when you have all these other bands and stuff, and you're broke, and you're scrounging just to eat and stuff like that. I just wanted to have a normal life again, and that's what I did, and I started playing in bands, and really what happened was, there was other bands I played with after I came back, um, clubs and stuff like that, little festivals, and but what happened is that I really started having a lot of problems with my back, and being a drummer, you're using all your ligaments, your arms, your legs, and your back is moving, and I started having a lot of problems with my back, and it was really getting bad where I couldn't play for long periods of time, and I was in excruciating pain, and so I just actually the last gig that I played was in, I think it was like in January of 1997, or might have been 98. Um, it was with a Christian heavy metal band called Rest, and I was playing with another band at the time, but we actually rehearsed in the same room. So I used to watch these guys all the time, and I knew their songs, and they were a lot younger than me, and they had a gig coming up, and I kind of just like sat in like Phil. I played the gig with them. Is what I did, and it was in a Christian coffee house in Wheaton, Illinois. It used to be a bar, and it turned into this Christian coffee house called True Tunes. And we went there in the middle of a snowstorm. My buddy drove me up there with my drums, and um, it was a great show. The place was packed because they were a real popular band, and that was the last gig I played. I mean, my back was hurting me so bad after that. Um, I I just that's when I did, but I didn't want to stop playing music. And along the way, I learned to play other instruments like guitar. Like I'd always, like at rehearsals and stuff, I'd always pick up the guitar player's guitar and I'd sit there and just like strum and mess around with it. And I actually took some lessons for a little while I was in California. But and I kind of picked different things up along the way, and I really wanted to do my own stuff, play my own songs, write my own music, because I playing in all those different bands that we all played, original songs. That's how I learned how to write songs. And I've always said that my biggest influences aren't like Ozzy and or any of the bands that I listen to. The music. My Some of my biggest influences, besides my father, are the different musicians that I played with over the years, the different songwriters, and that's where most of my influences come from, more than any big rock stars or anything like that. They always are from guys I played with, and I have a lot of respect for every single one of them, you know, and and so I just started. I got my first computer because you gotta have a computer, and and I just started experimenting with different recording softwares and just all kinds of different stuff. I would come up with to try to record and layer tracks of one instrument and layer the track of another instrument, you know. And I just started coming up with music. I would just sit there and most of it in the beginning was just instrumental stuff. I just write all these, just come up with all these different songs, and I started putting them together on CDs, and some of them are still available. I have CDs that are still on that are on. I've actually recorded 10 full length albums of my own music, but it was around, after. But then I had really, honestly, I started, getting, after I quit playing bands, I started getting really depressed, and I fell into doing a lot of drugs and drinking and stuff a lot. And I kind of fell away from music until I met Liz, back in 2006. And it was around 2009 when I finally, I got clean and stuff. I mean, I wanted to play music again. I hadn't played music. I had made two CDs back in like 1999 and 2000. And after that, I kind of just fell away from it for a while. And but Lizzie really got me back into it, and talked me into buying some new gear and stuff like that, which is all sitting down in my basement. um, and I upgraded my the stuff I was using to record with, and got, like, now today I use a Presonus Studio One. It's professional, software and stuff, and I enjoy my own music. I enjoy it more, than I did playing in bands. I had somebody tell me one time, "Oh, you're full of shit. You probably still wish you could play." And honestly, Al, I don't. I don't. I mean, there's stuff I missed. It was a lot of fun, but I mean, and I've had back surgery, and I probably could, physically play if I wanted to. I got a kit downstairs and stuff, but I just had no desire to. I just like doing my own stuff. I like writing my own songs, producing my own songs. I had somebody ask me not too long ago if they want me to, if they'd want me to, if I'd want them to produce an album, because I've been talking about doing some new music, and I said no. I said, I don't know. I'm not interested in that. Even if it's not perfect, I don't care. Because I just like doing it myself. I know exactly what I want. I know how. I don't have to argue with anybody. Playing in bands, a lot of times there's arguing, and people don't get along, and stuff like that. I remember once our bass player, him and I were arguing during rehearsal, and I threw my drumstick at him, and it stuck in the wall. We were rehearsing in my parents' garage, and I got pissed off at him, and I threw my drumstick. He ducked. If he wouldn't have ducked, he would have hit him in the head. And it was just this. I mean, I don't have none of that kind of stuff. And the only person to argue with is myself. You know, and I started. So after I was around 2009, and I started putting out albums again. And then I started singing on them. And people saying, you need vocals, and it's like, I don't know anyone around here that can sing. And at the time, I didn't really know how to, like collaborate online with other people. And I don't pride myself on being any kind of great singer. I don't. I'm not a great singer. But I've taught myself how to, listen to the music and hear the tone of the music, and where I can and even now Lizzie even says she likes how my voice sounds on my songs. In the beginning it was horrible. It was bad. It was real bad, but it's gotten a lot better. Um, but then people started recognizing my music. I mean, I this is not the first time I've ever been interviewed. I've been interviewed on a couple of the radio stations. I've been in a rock magazine, and so, and like for me though, El, honestly, with music, if only one person digs my song, I mean, that's cool. That's totally cool, and that gives me an incentive to do more. You know, and when I write music, I write when I write lyrics, I usually do the music first, and then I'll write lyrics, afterwards. And it's just I don't really have anything like set that I want to write about. The stuff that you'll just come to me. You know what I mean? And it just sounds good. That sounds good. And the next thing you know, I got a song. And I also I don't like how some bands do where they keep everything a big secret and stuff like that. When I write and record a song and finish it and I put it out there. People like it, cool. If they don't, I don't care. It's fine. I like it, and if someone else digs it, then it's all worth it to me. Go ahead, Al. I'm
Now, it's all right. So, about 3 years ago, I know you and Lizzie wrote some music together
Yep.
for a band called Crimson Cross.
Crimson
Who
Cross.
came up with that idea? Who came up with that idea of like
Well,
writing music together?
well, we didn't really write the music together. It was Lizzie's idea. The story behind Kingdom of Shadows was Lizzie's idea, and she for each song she told me what it should be about, and I went downstairs and put music to it. You know, so because I have two projects. I have one that I just called Dbury, and my Dbury project is mostly like hard rock, kind of old school hard rock, kind of bluesy stuff. I love the blues. I like doing blues, and so that's kind of what that project is. And then Crimson Cross, I wanted to do like a concept album, and I really since we started doing the rock casserole, I really I really love like the symphonic metal and stuff like that. I'd never heard any of that stuff before until I started doing this stuff, with the radio, and I really liked it, and I wanted to do something like that, you know. And so, I mean, I went through a bunch of different names to call it, and Crimson Cross just sounded cool. I just liked it, and I wanted to do a concept album. Lizzie came up with the idea for Kingdom of Shadows, and Kingdom of Shadows is about a man who one night he fell into a dream, and or what he thought was a dream, and it's really got kind of a Christian kind of uh, like overtones to it, and but I don't really consider it like a direct like Christian album, but it's about he fell into a dream. He fell into a dream, and he what he thought was a dream, and he's taken on a journey through hell to by God to see what it's going to be like for people that are going there. And we also kind of got the idea. We've seen a video on YouTube of some woman who claims that I don't know what her name is, that she actually had something very similar to what Kingdom of Shadows is about. And she talked about, and like and about how, how people are being tormented just over and over and over and over and over constantly, because that's what hell is supposed to be about. You're being tormented constantly, like the constant gnashing of teeth is how it's described in the Bible, actually. But that's what Kingdom of Shadows is. And this man, each song is a different chapter to it, and he's taken on this journey through hell. And at the very end, like the very last song, which I don't even know the name of, the Awakening. The Awakening is about when he wakes up, and he doesn't know if it's a dream or not, but he knows that he needs to change things in his life, and that's what Crimson Cross and Kingdom of Shadows is about. And Lizzie would kind of dictate but not dictate, but just tell me, okay, this is what this and that and the other, and like went through the story because Lizzie is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. She has a very high IQ, and she and she would just tell me, and I would just listen to it and take it in, and I'd go downstairs in my studio, and I each song I would put, and she would kind of say, nah, that don't sound good. Try, maybe you should try doing this, try doing that, and so we collaborated on the whole thing together. And that's why her name was on there too. She's the one that came up with the story, and she had a lot to do. I'm the one that did all the music, but she had a lot to do with how it was put together and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Crimson Cross is.
Yeah. Would you write more stuff for either for Dewberry or Crimson Cross?
Say that again.
Would you be right for like the Dewberry or Crimson Cross or both for like new music?
I would like to do a new album for DeBerry and Crimson Cross. I have ideas for more for Crimson Cross style of music. That's not so much a I don't know if it would be a concept album, but I have ideas that I want to do. And I have a lot of ideas for DeBerry music. And I really want to start working on some new stuff because I have like all my like a lot of my songs. I used to find these different like indie websites, or they're all over the internet where you can upload your music. Some of them you have to join that cost money, and some you can just upload like a few songs and you don't have to pay nothing. And there's one that's called N1M, and I've had like 4 songs on there, a couple of DeBerry songs and a couple of Crimson Cross songs. And I've been getting these emails lately that have all these messages and stuff, and the songs I have on there are actually number 7 for hard rock in the whole state of Ohio right now. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I started reading some of these messages, and some of them are younger people too. There's both male men, male and female. I love your music, and when are you going to come out with some more stuff? And I put your stuff on my playlist, and when I see stuff like that, it's like whoa, this is stuff I just did in my basement, and when somebody, it really means a lot to me, man, and it really, and it's why, now I kind of want to go. The show has been taking up a lot of my time, doing graphic art, but I'm going to find time and get back down because I got all this stuff sitting downstairs, man, all this equipment I have, and I haven't touched it in the last, well, since I did the Crimson Cross album. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I haven't touched any of it,
yeah.
but I'm going to. I
So
want to because I
yeah,
love playing
cool,
music. I love writing music.
cool. So
I mean, well, just one more. I never cared. I'm not trying to become like somebody famous. I don't give a shit about that. I just like to write music, and anyone that likes it, that's cool. I'm not trying to get a record deal. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I couldn't care less about any of that stuff. I just like writing songs. I like doing it all myself, and when I put it out there for anyone that digs it, I'm very grateful for that. It makes me very happy, and it gives me an incentive to continue doing it.
yeah. So you mentioned like prior to coming going live, there was a DJ on Digital Revolution Radio. Um, played your music on I wouldn't
Hmm.
say on a regular basis, but quite regular. Um, how would you how did you like become a DJ on Digital Revolution Radio? Was it through the this particular DJ playing your music, or was it Sandra approaching you?
Okay, well, how that all came to be is this guy, this DJ. I'm not going to mention any names, but he used to be on Sunday mornings from starting at 8 p.m. our time to like noon. And I met him on Facebook, and he said that he was a DJ on this internet radio station called Digital Revolution Radio. And I had mentioned to him that I wrote songs and that I wrote and recorded my own songs. And he was also a former musician too. He was a singer. and back in the 70s. And he wanted to hear some of my songs, so I sent him a couple of them, and he loved them. He loved them, and so I sent him, more, actually the whole album and stuff. And the album I had out at the time was an album called Dbury 7, and because it was my seventh album and the seventh album that I'd done, and he loved it. He loved it, and every Sunday he actually played my music on every single show. And he would play like several songs, like more than just one. He'd play like something 5 or 6 of my songs. He actually played the entire album in its entirety, too, and he actually did it twice. He did it for my birthday once too. He played the whole the Barry 7 album in its entirety. And what happened was, I would just like how you guys do, the Rock Casserole. I used to just hang out in the chat room, and he didn't have nearly as many people as we have. Sometimes I'd be the only person in the chat, and for all I know, I could have been the only person listening. I don't know, but it was just cool hearing my music on the radio, man. It was cool hearing it on the radio, and Sandra would come in there like she does, and I got to know Sandra and became friends with Sandra. And one day, she was in the chat room, and I was in there, and during this guy's show, and she mentioned something about, she had typed in there that I need to get more DJs or something like that for the station. I need more DJs. And Lizzie and I would listen to this guy's show every Sunday, okay? And we would say to ourselves, we could do that. We could do this stuff. This is not something, we could do. We could do this. And when Sandra typed that in the chat room, I was kind of just joking around, and I said, "Well, Sandra," I said, Liz and I have a shitload of music. I said, I said, maybe I should be a DJ. And she said, okay, Jeff. She said, pitch me an idea for a show, and I'll hook you up. So Liz and I, we had an idea to do a radio show where that just played everything. No matter, I don't care. I mean, everything, all styles of rock, all styles of metal, and play music that you didn't hear on FM radio, that you weren't listening, that you didn't hear. We wanted to play songs, but by popular bands too, but the song that you didn't hear on the radio, you know. And so we decided, we said, well, we got to call the show something. What are we going to call? What's the name of the show going to be? Because it was only going to be me at first. It was just going to be me. And Liz came up with, she said, let's call it the rock and roll casserole. And so I pitched that idea to Sandra. She loved it. And she said, well, why don't you just call it the rock casserole? So it was actually Sandra that really, we came up with a name, but it was actually Sandra that suggested to come up to call it the rock casserole. And I said, that sounds cool. you know. And so that was in July of 19, God, that was in July of 2016. And it was in August 14th when we did the first show. But we, Lizzie had a lot to do with more than, I mean, she was, picking the songs, and you got to play this song, you need to play that song, you need to play this song. And she was originally just going to come on and do her extreme metal segment, and that was going to be it. She wasn't going to do the whole show with me. She didn't want to. I was begging her, saying, just come on, just do it with me, let's do it together, it'll be fun. And it was actually about a week before the first Rock Casserole show aired. She decided that she was going to do it with me, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's going to be fun. You'll see. And we actually spent, we'll talk about this Sunday too, on our fifth anniversary show. We the first show, it took us like all week to put it together, and we actually we rehearsed it. It was because it was only a 4-hour show at the time. We sat here in front of the microphone and did all 4 hours, played the songs all the way through in the Sam broadcaster. Um, and that's really how the Rock Casserole came to be. And on August 14th of 2016, we went on the air and did our first show. Had hardly anybody in the chat room. And it was really just in the beginning, it was really we didn't really have any indie bands. I played a couple of my own songs, and a couple of this guy's song from that other guy who was playing my music because he had music too. I played one of his songs. So a couple other songs, and mostly it was just classic, metal bands and stuff like that we played, and it was we're going to be playing some of that stuff on Sunday too. That's how I
yeah,
got into doing this. I
yeah,
mean, what
yeah,
the rock
yeah.
casserole.
Yeah, it's like, I can't believe it's like this Sunday will be 5 years of
5 years.
the Castle
Yeah,
on the rock on Digital Revolution Radio. I can't believe it's been 5 years.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I didn't think it would last a year. I didn't think it would last, at all. I didn't think anyone would ever really like the show. I didn't know if people would ever dig the show, you know. But we just kept doing it, man. We just every Sunday we go on and we do our show, and then you guys all started showing up. You're like one of the first people, and we got introduced to Motion Device. They were the first have indie band that we ever played on the rock, real indie band that we ever played on the rock casserole. Um, and ever since then, now we have hundreds of bands, and I can't decide who to play half the time. And it's just like, who do we play? They're all good, and but the rock casserole was 4 hours. It used to be only 4 hours, and it just wasn't enough time. There wasn't anybody on after us, and so I'd asked Sandra if we could do an extra hour. And that was about maybe 6 months into the show, and then we went to 5 hours, and then that's when we've been doing. And then it just kind of evolved, from what it was at the beginning to what it is now, and then a lot of the credit goes to Lizzie. She's really, people are always saying, "Oh, Jeff, it ain't me, it ain't me." It's Liz. Liz is the brains behind the rock casserole. She's more the brains behind the rock casserole than I am. And if it wasn't for her, I would be boring to listen to, okay, for 5 hours. I'm serious. Because I don't know. I mean, I come on there and say, yeah, yeah, yes, 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 welcome back, all that stuff. And then I don't know what else to say. I don't. And because I don't consider myself a DJ. I'm not a DJ. I'm not trying to be a DJ. Liz and I, neither one of us, we just like playing great music, sharing good music with people. The Casseroller family it means the world to us. We love every single one of you guys that show up. And if it weren't for you all, we probably wouldn't be doing it. And because it's not. I never had any kind of like burning desire to be a DJ or anything like that, or be on the radio. I wanted to play music. That's what I wanted. I wanted to hear my music on the radio, and it just led to what it is.
yeah. Yeah, it's like uh, back in April of 2017, you decided, like you and Lizzie came up with the idea, so to speak, to have guest DJs on,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I would like to yeah, basically, I was one of the first people
You
to
you were our second. Yeah, you were our
yeah,
second one. Yeah, Sue York was the
and
first one.
yeah, yeah, it was when I first came on the Rock Castle, I was pretty much this close to actually being physically sick.
I know that's
I
what you were
was
telling me earlier.
so nervous.
I was like
It
that
was
too
unreal.
almost in the first show, man. I was so nervous. I didn't know. I didn't know what to say. I was. I
Yeah,
know, and but you can't see anybody for one. Just looking at a microphone, like where I'm sitting right now is exactly where I'm sitting when I do the show.
yeah,
And at our little table here in the living room, and I stare at it. There's a wall in front of me here, you know. There,
yeah,
I can't see anybody, and so
yeah,
I don't know how many people are listening, and it doesn't matter,
yeah,
and it's really a lot about the people that come in the chat room, and
yeah,
the guest DJ thing. Sue had messaged me asking if we could play a block of AC/DC because that was her favorite band. And I'm like, sure, yeah, I talked to Liz and yeah, let's do it, yeah, you know. And then Liz got the idea. She goes, why don't we have Sue come on the show and have her be like a guest DJ? And because she knows more about them than we do. And so I messaged her and she's like, yeah, yeah. So she came on and she was the first. And then it was Lizzie's idea. She goes, we need to get Elle on the show and get a European perspective.
Yeah,
and so that's when we asked you to if you want to come on and be our guest DJ. Now you got
yeah,
your own show, you know,
yeah.
and you
It's
do
all
this
thanks
stuff.
to you, Lizzie, and the Rock Casserole. That have
Hmm.
actually given me the confidence to actually become a DJ, and actually give me the impetus to basically like with like the across the pond segment to
Yeah,
play
that
alongside
that
the independent musicians out there.
for the
And
record
then,
too. We when we thought of the name for your segment, it had to be Project Metal, you know,
yeah,
and then Lizzie came up with Project Metal Across the Pond with L. Young, you know.
yeah,
So that was her too. She's the one that came with Across the Pond, and I told her, you liked it, and like I said, Lizzie, and I wish she could come. She can't though right now, but she has a lot. If it weren't for her, um, the rock casserole wouldn't be what it is, and I wouldn't be doing it. I probably would have lasted a year by myself, and probably would have got kicked off because nobody listened. I don't know, man. Maybe not.
yeah,
Maybe not. But um, I just, I'm glad that she decided to do it with me. And if it wasn't for her, I know Lizzie is very outspoken sometimes, and I guess just the way she is. It's just how she is. And you know, but love it or hate it, it's become something that's a lot of fun. And I love we love having you still come on the show and do your, even though you have your own radio show now, you do every Thursday, you still come on and do your segment, and that's cool. Now we have a couple other people like Carl Graneman and does one, and Tim Little and Henry Arenas, and then we have the two kids, the two guys from the Darbies, Ronnie and Nico, and this, then and Pookie came. Then Pookie came into the picture. Pookie was used to be, Lizzie. Well, see, Lizzie liked black metal, okay, and the goat head has always been like a symbol of black metal, and that's why she would always refer to in the early days of the show as Pookie. That was her goat, like her black metal goat. All right, that's actually how Pookie came to be, and her name was Pookie, and she lived in the backyard, and and one day we just decided to bring her to life on the show. you know That's why we tell people we're crazy, man. We're crazy, we're nuts. But if you knew us, if you were here in our living room, like if all you guys were here in our living room sitting around, we're no different than we are. It would be the same exact thing, and you would know where all this stuff comes from. That's just how we are. We're that way. Yeah, it's an act. Yeah, it's something that there's not really a goat here. But if you knew us like in person, you would understand. Okay, now I see what that's how they are. That's the way we are. We live by ourselves, dude. We're just the two of us here. We got no kids. And just the two of us. So we find things to amuse ourselves with, and especially with the COVID shit and all that stuff. We're never bored. We just find stuff to do, and it somehow gets incorporated into the show. That's how it all happens.
yeah, yeah. So, have you got any plans for this Sunday to on for the show for the fifth anniversary?
Yeah,
Or
Brian Holland's going to be on the show
yeah,
as a guest DJ from Reverence. He'll be on around 1 o'clock, and then Sandra is going to be on the show. Sandra came on our first anniversary, and it's become a tradition now. She comes on the show on our anniversary, play some songs.
yeah,
She'll talk about the station a little bit and stuff like that. And it's always fun having Sandra on the show because Sandra's Digital Revolution Radio has been around since February of 2007, and it's a long time. And she was once a DJ on the show, but after her husband passed away in 2013, I believe it was, she hasn't come back on since. And I keep telling her all the time, you need to come back. You need to come back on and she wants to. I know she does. But she's really busy. She has grandkids and stuff like that. And I'd love to see Sandra come back on. I really would. But she'll be on. She'll be on this Sunday with us. We're going to be playing some of our original, some of the first bands like Motion Device and And some of the first bands that we got, we're going to start the show off with the very first, very the two songs that we always do. There's two on every anniversary show. We start off with the first two songs we ever played on the show, and that's rock and roll. The first song we played on the show was "Rock and Roll" by Motorhead, and then Stand Up and Shout by Dio. So expect those two songs in the beginning of the show. And sometimes we're probably not going to do storytellers this week because Brian's going to be on, and then Sandra's going to be on, and it's going to be a little different. We got CDs to give away. Greg Boyce is giving away three of his new Back from the Dead CDs. Our friend Hanson Sick is giving away the new Tom Rocks Lost CD and new Sucking Leech CD. I got two T-shirts we're going to give away, special edition Rock Casserole T-shirts. We're going to pick names out of the casserole dish, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, like it always is.
Cool. Cool. Now, uh, recently you've been doing some digital artwork for different bands. How's that been? How's that been going?
It's been going real good, actually. Digital graphic art, digital art is something that I've been doing for probably more than 20 years. Because I did all the artwork for all my own albums, and I've been actually started doing that stuff way back when I got my first computer back in 1997. And I mean, I'm a lot better at it today than I used to be, and I've gotten a lot better just in the last couple of years because I'm doing it all the time, and I love doing that stuff, man. It's so much fun. I just like being creative, I've always been that way, and I like doing things the way I want to do them. And I just like being creative. I like showing my creativity through my art. And yeah, right now I'm working on Voodoo Moonshine's new album that's coming out. I'm working on their artwork. That band that they were in the chat room Sunday, Cold Drop. I'm going to be doing their album cover. I did a album for Ron Keel last year. Oh, I love doing Ron because I was a big fan of Ron Keel, and Steeler. And when Ron called me up that day, he called me up and he says, "Hey Jeff, this is Ron Keel." I almost fell out my chair. I was like, "Oh hi, how you doing, Ron?" And I did an album for him. And Bad Boy Eddie, I've done albums for. I've done 5 albums for Jim Crean. And doing stuff for Jim has been a real honor. Because he has a lot of famous people play on his albums, like Carmine and Peace and Vinny Appice and drummers, and Rudy Sarzo, and some very familiar names in the rock business, and have my name in there along with all those guys is really cool. Yeah, I did the artwork.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun, and it's something that I never plan to stop doing until maybe when I die. But I'm
yeah,
gonna keep doing it because I love doing that stuff.
yeah, cool. So we've got a few people in the chat. So if anybody wants to ask Jeff any questions, go ahead and see if we've got any time, we can answer them for you. So what's for the future? Are you going to be continuing doing the rock casserole and doing artwork,
Yep, that's
stuff like that?
absolutely. As far as the rock casserole, as long as you guys keep showing up, we'll keep doing the show. If we ever come in the chat room, there's nobody in there. That's probably going to be time to say that pull the plug on it, because honestly, it wouldn't be. It's a lot of work putting it together, and it takes a long time. It takes us at least 6 hours on Saturdays to put it together, and we do it for you guys. Whoever you all that listen, we do it for you guys. And if all of a sudden you guys were to stop, then we'll probably fade away too, because it just wouldn't be. It would be boring. It wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be because it's not about being a DJ. It's not about being a DJ. I don't care about being on 20 different radio stations. I don't care about being a popular DJ. It's never been about that ever. It never has been. And it's just about playing great music, entertaining. I like to entertain people. I did it in bands for years, and I don't do that anymore. And so doing a show kind of fills that void, I guess, a little bit, I've always been like, and I can be, we can be creative, and it's just, as long, yeah, the Rockcaster will continue as long as you guys keep showing up. And artwork, yeah, I'm going to continue doing that, and hopefully, um, within this next year, you'll hear some new music from me too.
Cool, cool. So this will be probably be if anybody wants to ask any questions, go ahead. But this will be the last question from me. So you've been in a number of bands over the years, and you've been in been a musician for a few decades now.
Over 40 years.
Yeah. So basically, any advice for these up and coming musicians or people just wanting to pick up an instrument and start strumming away? Any advice for
Yeah.
them?
One word of advice I would have for any young musicians out there: have something to fall back on. For one, okay, you got to have something to fall back on. If you can go to college and go to school, take up music, doing that, if you want, but don't, please don't think that music is all you're gonna do, okay? Because the music business is one of the hardest businesses there is to become successful. I don't care what you're doing. All right, there's thousands of other bands out there, especially the way it is today. Just have something to fall. I'm not saying don't. I'm not trying to don't give up. If it's what you want to do, do it. But just have something to fall back on. Something to fall back on that where you can make money and live. We got to have money to live, man, and you got to do something. Also, as far as I've heard some of your other interviews, and I've heard other musicians say this too. If you're in a band, play out, play live. Playing live is what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about, playing in bands. It ain't about making music videos and posting them to YouTube and going by how many fans you have on Facebook and Instagram. And you got to get out and play shows, man, because that is the way. That is really, because especially opening for other bands, don't ever think we'll never open for any open for, I don't care who it is, man. If you have an opportunity to open for another band, do it, because what you're doing, that other band's fans are going to be there, and you're going to get up there and you're going to play, and they're going to see you and they're going to dig you, and you're going to gain more fans that way. You're going to walk off that stage with more fans than you had when you walked on it. And they'll find you on social media and stuff like that, and your fan base will grow. Play out as often as you can, wherever you can. Play, go out there and play, even if the gig sucks. If it's what, just do it. Every night is not going to be
Yeah.
great. Some nights are going to suck, but just and
Yeah.
if music is what you want to do, don't just take it, just keep pushing forward one day at a time. That's and never, and just never quit. Just keep going. There's different levels of making it. Okay, making it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the next Led Zeppelin or the next Metallica or the next Ozzy. You could just be doing stuff like what I do, and that and just having, as far as I'm concerned, anyone that digs my music, I feel that I made it. Because people dig what you're doing, you've made it. To a certain degree. You don't have to. Not everyone's going to be a millionaire. All rock stars are not millionaires. Everybody thinks they are, but they're not. Some of them are broke. There are a lot of them that are out there are broke that you wouldn't even know, wouldn't even think it, but they are. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's quite a few. I've heard quite a few horror stories about some of these rock stars who got
Yeah.
totally ripped off by the management
Yep.
companies or the
Oh
record
yeah.
labels and stuff like that. And you might think they might put a facade on. These rock stars put a facade on and say, "Oh, look at me, I'm all successive," but behind the
Yeah.
scenes, couldn't rub two pens together.
Yep. Yep. There's bands that at one time they were out there playing in 20,000, selling out 20,000 seat arenas. Today they're back playing in bars with less than 200 people showing up for a show. They got
Yeah,
two original members left in the band, and people are just going up because they that name is familiar. It's not the same
yeah,
thing, man. It's not. You know,
yeah, yeah. It's
that's what happened. That's how the business. That's how this business is. It's a
yeah.
here today, gone
It's
tomorrow
like
kind of business.
yeah, and like you said earlier, always have something to fall back on, whether it
Yep.
be like whether you be say for instance like a mechanic or a carpenter or a
Yeah.
whatever, always have
Anything.
something
Yeah.
something to fall back on.
Yep. Yep.
So
That's what I say. Have something. If you can go to school, man. Go to college. And keep playing music though, but go to school. You know, get an education.
yeah,
You know, really. I chose not
yeah,
to. You know, and there's a. I'm happy with the way things are right now today. You know, but if I had to do over again, I would have gone to I would go to school. I would have gone to college. I would have. I really would have. Knowing what I know, but that's you know
he's
today's today.
yeah, here's a message from Teresa. She says, "A great interview, gentlemen. I have learned a little about Jeff, Lizzie, and the Rock Casserole.
Well, we love you, Teresa.
Yeah,
Thank you for listening, and thank you
and
for
yeah, yeah, and here's a message from Paul about the advice that you've given.
thanks,
It
Paul.
says sound advice, sound advice. So yeah, all sound, all good advice. Yeah, um, I think that might be about it. I think. So unless anybody got any questions, so yeah. So Jeff, thank you so much for doing this. It is very much appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome. I had a blast. I'll tell you. I finally get to
Yeah,
see you face to face, and just usually you're just a voice on the telephone, And I finally I've
yeah,
seen pictures of you, so I know what you look like. But
yeah,
finally get to see you smiling and actually talk to you and stuff, man. It was really cool. Thank you
yeah,
so much
yeah. No
for
worries.
asking me to do this. I mean,
Yeah,
anytime, I'll come on your show. So
yeah. Well, that would be great. That would be great. Especially, I was well. I've got a few ideas of for a good few things about something else music
okay,
related. Uh, so we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk at some point with that.
absolutely, absolutely. You got my number. You
So
also can hit me up on whatever, man. Just hit me up on
yeah,
Facebook. I always answer my messages. So,
yeah, yeah.
but okay, y'all. Thanks so much,
Right,
man. It's been
right.
a pleasure coming on your YouTube channel and talking to you. And
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast, especially for nearly nearly an hour and 10 minutes.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
absolute
We
fun,
could probably go for
absolute
another
fun.
hour or two.
Good, yeah, yeah, easy, easy. Right, so like I said, thank you so much, Jeff. And if you get a chance, come to the Rock Casserole this Sunday from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Digital Revolution Radio, where you can hear it loud and clear. And yeah, join the celebration for the fifth anniversary of the show.
Yep, yep. Fifth
So
anniversary, 5 years gone, man.
yeah,
It's gonna be a lot of
but
fun. It's gonna be a cool show. It's
yeah,
gonna be
it
a lot of
is.
fun.
It
All
is.
right, Al.
Right.
All right.
So
You take
thank
care.
you so much. You too.
All right. Bye, everybody. Bye bye. How do